home with the real Lombardinos. And here in Wisconsin, we're under the COVID-19 lockdown, but that's not stopping us from keeping our house clean and doing our laundry. Here it's Monday, and Monday is laundry day, and it's also red beans and rice day in New Orleans. So we're gonna make some red beans and rice here in our house. I'm soaking some beans here. I've got a bunch of different pork products. I pickled some spare ribs. I have a ham hock from our Sunday ham that we had for dinner. And I have some great spicy andouille sausage made by Delta Dream in Arena, Wisconsin, just west of here. So a Wisconsin andouille sausage, all going in the pot, and I'll show you how we steam up some white rice. So I have a pot of red beans, and I have some small red beans. These are not the large kidney beans. Down in New Orleans, they use a CAMELLIA brand beans. And here in Wisconsin, I found some simple little red beans. They almost look like a black-eyed pea, but they're red. And now what I did was about 8 hours ago this morning when I woke up, I brined the beans. So I covered them in a generous amount of cold water, and I added 3 tablespoons of salt to that, which will help to season the beans, plump them up, and keep the skins nice and soft, and so the skins don't break. So what makes a pot of red beans what it is the inclusion of all these meats that go into the pot. We want some smoky andouille sausage. Now this, you can use any smoked sausage if you don't have andouille, a kielbasa, or any kind of smoked sausage that you can get at your local butcher. We have a ham hock today from a smoked ham that we ate. That will go in the pot. In place of that, traditionally they use tasso. Tasso ham is a highly seasoned, salty ham. It comes from Cajun country down in New Orleans and just west of New Orleans. And we don't have access to that today, but we do have a smoked ham hock. The third thing that goes in here is pickled pork. It's pickled pork. And I happen to buy a bunch of country spare ribs, which are very inexpensive, and I took my basic brine. I've made a video on that, and I brined these a few days ago. But to the brine, I added 2 cups of apple cider vinegar and some mustard seeds, and it came out great, really fragrant. And it's pickled pork, which we're gonna simmer in our beans. It's gonna give it some brightness, some acidity. And this is a really old technique that the Creoles and the Cajuns used to preserve pork hundreds of years ago. They had to use every part of the pig and they couldn't waste anything. So it was really important that they either salted the pork or they pickled the pork. The base of our red beans and rice is going to be the Holy Trinity. Again, it's kind of the base of all good Creole Cajun cooking. We have the mirepoix that comes from France, which is the carrot, celery, and onion. And down south in Louisiana, they have the Holy Trinity. Bell pepper, a green pepper, celery, and onion. We're gonna add to that a red chili, some good Louisiana hot sauce, and then we're gonna double thyme this up. We're gonna use some fresh thyme and some dried thyme, some bay leaves, a little bit of that cayenne pepper, and some smoked Spanish paprika will go in with our beans, and then we'll cook them with some house-made chicken stock, and we'll top it up with a little bit of water so that we get a nice creamy gravy with our beans. I have my Holy Trinity all set to go here. I've added some garlic, a little red chili, and then I have my onion, my bell pepper, and my celery. And then to that, I'm gonna add some nice thick cuts of this spicy smoked andouille sausage. So I'm gonna get everything prepped, all my mise en place, my things in their place, and ready to go in the pot with my beans. start our beans, I have a large enamel Dutch oven heating up nicely, and we'll start with our Holy Trinity. We have our rice, which we'll put on later. These beans are going to take quite a while to simmer, and my smoked andouille sausage is fully cooked, so that's something we'll add to the beans later in the cooking process. But I'm going to start by taking these beans that I've brined, like I said, for about 8 hours, or you can do this overnight. So they have that salt water soak that should season them up, make the cooking time a little bit shorter, and make sure that we have a seasoned bean with a tender skin. So I'm going to drain that brine off. To start the beans, I'm going to add a little bit of extra virgin olive oil to my Dutch oven that's heating up here, just enough to coat the bottom. And we're going to sweat this Holy Trinity a little bit. These are my onions, my celery, and then my green bell pepper going in there. We'll let these go. And now this is a dish that they say is a Monday dish, the laundry day dish, because laundry traditionally took so long, took all day. So this could be put on the stove in the morning and let to simmer all day, creating this rich, smoky gravy with your beans to go over your rice. And many of the cooks that worked developing these recipes were cooks of color that worked in the Creole households in New Orleans. There were also a lot of Irish cooks that came, a lot of immigrants, Irish Italians that came and lived in New Orleans and also worked as servants in homes. The Trinity is sweating down nicely. To that, I'm going to add 1 red chili, just a little bright, fresh heat, and then a little bit of garlic. I minced up 2 cloves of garlic. We want to cook this quickly, just until the garlic is fragrant. Never burn the garlic. That will impart some bitterness. I'm going to add a quart of my quick chicken stock. And then I'm going to throw in a little fresh thyme, a couple of bay leaves. To that, my ham hock's going to go in. 2 of these pickled pork spare ribs. The next thing I want to add here is some spice. So I have some dried thyme. That'll reinforce the flavor of my fresh thyme. A little smoky Spanish paprika. And then some of that cayenne pepper, which is essential for this kind of a dish. I'm going to add a little freshly ground black pepper. A healthy dose. Now I haven't added any salt because we have the pickled pork that's got some salt to it, the ham bone has some salt, and we've brined our beans with a little salt water. So we'll taste for salt and adjust as we go along. Our pot has come to a simmer. Now it's time to add the beans. I'm going to stir these in. And then we'll top it up with a couple of cups of water. We have a mix of the chicken stock and water. We don't want it to be overpowered by the chicken flavor. We want all this great pork flavor. So I'll top it up with 2 cups of water. And we will bring it back to a simmer. And then we'll simmer it until they're done, topping up with water as we need. Our pot has come to the boil. I'm gonna put a lid on here, just kind of askew. Adjust my heat down to keep it at a pretty rapid simmer. And then we'll check back in about 45 minutes. Next, we will begin with our rice, the second half of red beans and rice. We're gonna start with a little butter. We're going to melt that and kind of toast our rice in there a little bit. We want to get all the grains coated with melted butter. I'm going to start with 2 cups of long grain rice. And while the butter's melting, I'm going to rinse this off real quick. Next step in our red beans and rice is to make the rice. I've melted some butter. And I have 2 cups of rice that I've rinsed. And I just want to kind of toast that in the butter a little bit and to get all the grains coated with a little bit of the oil. 2 cups of rice have kind of been toasted a bit for about 30 seconds. I'm going to add 3 cups of water and a bay leaf to this. We'll bring it up to a boil with just a pinch of salt. And then we'll put the lid on to simmer for 15 to 20 minutes. So my rice is steamed for about 18 minutes. It looks real nice, fluffy. I'm going to drape a towel over there, put the lid back on. And I'm gonna push it back here and just let it sit and steam. That towel is gonna catch some of the moisture, but we'll let that steam while our beans finish. We'll take a look at our bean pot here. Bring those forward over a medium heat. Simmering away just great. We have our pickled pork in there. Those ribs, tender and dewy sausage, and our ham bone. Some sprigs of fresh thyme. So we have a nice, rich gravy coming off these beans. They've simmered and released a lot of their starch, creating that thick, creamy sauce. So we'll be ready to serve in about 15 minutes. So our beans have been simmering here. Probably a total of about 2 hours, but we have a really rich gravy here with all that spicy sausage, the pickled pork, and that ham hock. I'm just gonna give that a little try. Really rich, tender beans, but all intact with beautifully tender skins. I'm gonna give it just a little pinch of salt. And then I like to brighten it up, a little splash of apple cider vinegar. Give that a stir. And then we're gonna take a look at our rice here. We've let this steam, cook for about 18 minutes, and then steamed for an additional 15. Nice and fluffy, white rice. Really nice, absorbed everything. A little bit of bay leaf in there and a little bit of butter. So I'm gonna plate up a little bit of my red beans and rice. First, a nice portion of that steamed long grain white rice. And then I'm gonna take some of this red beans and their rich gravy, some of that sausage right over the top. And I always like to finish it off with a little bit of Louisiana hot sauce. So we got my red beans and rice here with my zesty gravy made with that ham hock, spicy and dewy sausage, and some pickled pork ribs. Now if you don't have that, you can use some bacon, use some smoked sausage, whatever you can find locally. But just give it a try, and thanks for cooking along with me. I'm gonna give this a taste. So this red beans and rice is really rich, delicious, and I really hope you dig it. Thanks for watching.